Hi everybody! I hope you're all having a really great holiday season. I just wanted to go over my process for making gift cards, which I thought would be timely and fun. Something to practice watercolors with and see what we can come up with. First, we're going to start with a roughly gift card size piece of paper and mark the center and then begin taping it down. Once we have that center line marked, we're going to start putting down some washi tape to mask off the image and keep the edges nice for when we put the washes down. I know, I'm just tearing the edges of the tape, but honestly it's not going to matter for this since it's going to come off once we're done painting. We're going to start with a couple colored pencils, a green and red one, to mark off the initial sketch of the picture. The reason I chose a green was so once we put the paint down, it'll just disappear, and later on, once we're more sure of the final shape, we can make those very visible marks. But for now, it's just a sketch, so no worries about messing it up a little bit. These lines will all disappear eventually anyway. Once we're satisfied with our drawing, we're going to put down a slightly yellowed wash. This is mostly so I can see it easier on the page. It will barely be visible at all, especially once we put down the sap green mixture I'm going to have on screen in just a minute here. What will happen is that wherever I put water down will constrain the green from flowing outside. This is called wet on wet. It's a pretty basic technique, but all I'm doing is just dappling down in the puddle of water and just letting it spread however it wants to. I also decided it might be fun to put a little bit of decoration in the corners, using wet on dry and then putting a puddle of water on top to help it spread out evenly. After that, I add these little blobs of yellow and let them soak in and spread however they want to, and then dappling it down to help blend it in with the rest of the image. Once that has had a chance to dry, I bring in red. It's mostly for the little ribbon I have at the bottom of the garland, but I'm also going to add little dots of it in the rest of the picture. You can see here how I'm putting little dots of highly pigmented red just in there to help imply a shadow. And this is where I start adding those little dots. Now I made a little mistake here. It's not quite dry enough, so it spreads out a little bit and pollutes the green, but honestly, it's not a big deal. It's watercolor. It's gonna do what it wants to, and if you're a little more patient than I was, then you can avoid that issue entirely, but I think it just adds a nice little bit of texture, so I just lean into it. Remember, there's no real mistakes. We're just having fun with the water. Here I'm putting a little more red pigment down to help emphasize those corners and make them pop compared to the rest of the red on this page. Give it a little more dimensionality. After that, I thought it would be fun to put in a watered down sky, so I put in a really waterlogged blue and then immediately pulled it back up with the paper towel. The paper towel just creates a nice little textured effect to help sell the idea that it's a sort of uneven sky or a cloudy scene. After that, I peel my tape and set it aside for a few minutes to let it dry. I don't want to use watercolor pencil on it until I know for sure that there's no standing water left on it, or else we'll have some really pigmented spots, and that's not really what we want. After it's dry, I go in and add a few spots of extra dark lines to help give it a little more dimensionality and emphasize those areas. It helps create a little more separation between the colors in the foreground and background. This is basically what I do for all my watercolor paintings, is just add a little bit of line work to help make those edges a little more apparent and fix up some spots where maybe it wasn't quite dry before. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little walkthrough of how I make my little gift cards. This is not the only way to do it, but it's the way I do it. If you have any questions or if you have any ideas for future videos, just let me know in the comments. And if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe. I'm going to be putting more stuff out there like this in the future.